All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks. My key games for this weekend in the world of college football and everything that I've got to talk about for this specific weekend of college football is going to take place on Saturday as we have an action packed day of some key college games as the calendar is ready to shift to the month of November. And I guarantee you that it is going to be a November to remember in the chase to get to the college football playoff. Now, I want to start off with a big one in the SEC on Saturday afternoon. As you got ninth ranked Vanderbilt traveling to Austin to take on 20th ranked Texas. And these are two teams that have their sights set on getting to the SEC championship game. Of course, both Vandy and Texas are a part of that one loss group within the SEC. And of course, for the loser in this game, they are really going to be fighting an uphill battle in regards to getting to Atlanta for the championship game. But you look at Vanderbilt, and as the fortunes of quarterback Diego Pavia go, so do the fortunes of the Commodores. I like what they have on offense with the likes of tight end Eli Stowers and, of course, running back Cedric Alexander. And if you don't know the name Miles Capers in regards to his ability to rush the passer, you better pay attention to him. For Texas, we just saw them escape Lexington and Starkville with victories first over Kentucky and then over Mississippi State. So now, what are the Longhorns going to do at home against a ranked opponent? We still do not know the availability of starting quarterback Arch Manning. As he is in the concussion protocol. But make no mistake about it, whoever's out there at quarterback for the Longhorns, Texas has to run the football better as they are 90th in the nation so far in rushing. Too much talent on this Texas team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They still don't have Michael Taft at safety, but you still have linebacker Anthony Hill as well as Colin Simmons. But nonetheless, it's too much talent on this Texas team for them. There's a reason why they were the preseason number one. However, I'm going upset here. I know Vanderbilt is a 3.5 point underdog. I like the Commodores in this game, 24-23. Now, moving over to the ACC, we've got 10th ranked Miami traveling to Dallas to take on SMU. And believe it or not, this is Miami's first game outside of the state of Florida all season long. When you think about this Miami offense, what version of quarterback Carson Beck are we going to get? Because he shows flashes where you're like, you know what? He's one of the best in the country. And then he has moments where you're like, what are you doing? Okay. For the Canes, they can lean on their running game with Mark Fletcher carrying the ball, setting up things for a guy like wide receiver Malachi Tony. And then this Miami defense, I really like Bryce Fitzgerald with what he is able to do in that secondary. Now, year two in the ACC has not been as smooth as year number one for the Mustangs, but nonetheless, they are still a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately for SMU, quarterback Kevin Jennings has thrown an interception in all but one game so far this season. You're not going to get away with that against Miami. He's got to find a way to get the football to the likes of wide receiver Romello Brinson. And then I like this SMU defense with the likes of safety Ahmad Moses as well as D tackle Terry Webb. The Hurricanes come into this game favored by 10.5. I'm going to take Miami by 10, 34-24. Now, a big one in the American Conference, as you've got Navy, undefeated Navy, traveling to take on North Texas. And for the Mean Green, they come into this contest favored by 6.5 points at home. Of course, North Texas's only loss of the season came against South Florida a couple of weeks ago when the Bulls put up 60 plus on them. But nonetheless, Navy is trying to leave Denton still undefeated, and it's not going to be easy. You look at this North Texas offense, they're fifth in the nation in offense. Quarterback Drew Mestermaker, if you don't know who he is, you better pay attention to him. That's the bottom line. You've got a talented running back for North Texas and running back Caleb Hawkins. I like wide receiver Wyatt Young. And then defensively, you've got Ethan Day on that D line as well as linebacker Shane Witter. When you think about Navy, you know that the midshipmen are going to run the football, and it starts with quarterback Blake Horvath. Also, you've got slot back Eli Heidenreich as well as running back Alex Texka. And then defensively for Navy, keep an eye out for linebacker Mark Anthony Parker as well as nose guard Landon Robinson. It's going to be an uphill battle for Navy to remain undefeated after this Saturday. And when it's all said and done, I like North Texas to hold serve at home 38-27. Now, in the Mountain West, we've got New Mexico traveling to take on UNLV. And of course, the Rebels, they got to try to find a way to put that beat down at the hands of Boise State behind them. Still a very talented UNLV team for head coach Dan Mullen, and it starts with quarterback Anthony Calandria. I like running back Jaden Thomas in this one, as well as wide receiver Jaden Bradley on offense. Then this UNLV defense, they've got to start playing better, and they have the talent to do it with the likes of inside linebacker Marcel McDuffie, as well as Amaris Brown in that secondary. For New Mexico, they've got two conference losses, but they're still trying to hang around in that championship race. Quarterback Jack Lane has been up and down so far for the Lobos. What is running back Damon Bankston going to do in this game? And also for New Mexico to go on the road and get the win, tight end Dorian Thomas is going to have to make some key plays. And then this New Mexico defense really has their hands full, is going to have their hands full trying to slow down this UNLV offense. But if New Mexico can do it, linebacker Jackson Eck as well as defensive end Keyshawn James Newby are going to have an impact. UNLV comes into this game favored by 5.5 points. I like them by 4 in this one, 34-30. Now in the Big 12, we've got 13th ranked Texas Tech traveling to the Little Apple to take on the Wildcats of Kansas State. You got two teams here that are looking to hang around in that Big 12 championship race. And of course, a loss is not going to help the cause. So for Texas Tech, they get quarterback Baron Morton back, and that's going to be important because he's going to help really solidify things on offense. I like what the Red Raiders have in their backfield with running backs Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams, and then wide receiver Caleb Douglas on the outside. And then, of course, you can't say enough about this Texas Tech defense with linebackers Jacob Rodriguez and David Bailey, as well as Bryce Pollock in that secondary. So when you see K-State, you ask yourself, which Wildcats team are we going to see? Because a lot of people, myself included, expected the Wildcats to be in that mix to win the Big 12 conference this year. It hasn't been there at all points this season. It's been in flashes. We just saw them beat the brakes off of Kansas, and that gives you an idea of how good that K-State can be when they're clicking on all cylinders. Avery Johnson at quarterback, he's going to dictate things for this team. You also have Austin Romaine at linebacker as well as safety Daniel Cobbs. But when it's all said and done, I like this Red Raiders defense to be a difference maker. And I'm going to take Texas Tech 34-24. Now, heading back to the Mountain West, we've got Fresno State traveling to the Smurf turf to take on Boise State. The Broncos come into this game favored by 17.5 points, as they look like a team that's ready to win the Mountain West once again on their way out the door. You can't say enough about Boise's run game with Siri Gaines as well as Dylan Riley. And, of course, that's going to make things so much easier for quarterback Maddox Madsen. Braxton Feely on that D-line for Boise State. Can he be a disruptor to this Fresno State offense? So you look at Fresno State. They're currently on a 2-game losing streak. We just saw them get embarrassed on their home field last Saturday, courtesy of San Diego State. For Fresno State to go out there and pull off the upset, E.J. Warner is going to have to play phenomenal at quarterback. He's been up and down too much this season for the Bulldogs. That's going to be a big thing right there. Like I said, Fresno comes in as huge underdogs in this one. I like Boise State by 2 touchdowns, 37-23. Now, back in the ACC, we've got 15th ranked Virginia making the trip across country to Berkeley to take on Cal. Now, the Cavaliers come into this game favored by 5.5 points, and they are looking to avoid the upset bid of Justin Wilcox's Golden Bears. For Virginia to do that, they've got to stick to the basics with quarterback Chandler Morris, as well as wide receiver Trell Harris, and then it's Virginia defense with the likes of Daniel Rickard at defensive end and Jason Prevard in that secondary. But Justin Wilcox's team knows how to play some D as well, and keep an eye out for linebacker Cade Uluave, as well as Hezekiah Moses in that secondary. And when it's all said and done, I like Cal to pull off the upset here, 24-20. And speaking of Cal, Big Cal, what's going on, man? You know, you had the perfect time to chime in and drop some comments and show some love as I'm picking the Cal Bears to handle their business this Saturday against Virginia. Now, sticking with the ACC, we've got eighth ranked Georgia Tech traveling to Raleigh to take on North Carolina State. So we've got the Yellow Jackets here. Please forgive me, I almost said Bulldogs. Nonetheless, they come in favored by 6.5 points on the road against NC State. And they've got to try to find a way to avoid that upset and, of course, stay undefeated. So you know that Georgia Tech is going to run the football with quarterback Haynes King and running backs Malachi Hosley and Jamal Haynes. And this Wolfpack team, they're 4-4 overall. They're 1-3 in the ACC. And they have too much talent to be where they're at. But at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. For NC State to do it, I think quarterback C.J. Bailey's got to click on all cylinders. This offense has to click on all cylinders with the likes of Hollywood Smothers at running back and Terrell Anderson at wide receiver. But when it's all said and done, the Jackets are going to have to work for it, but I think they leave Raleigh undefeated. And I'm going to take Georgia Tech 34-27. Now, getting back to the SEC, we've got 18th ranked Oklahoma traveling to Knoxville to take on 14th ranked Tennessee. The loser of this game is basically all but eliminated from the SEC championship picture as well as the college football race. Why? Because we'd be talking about a 3-loss team and then a 3-loss team within the SEC. For Oklahoma, quarterback John Mateer has been up and down this season, and he's going to have to be up and then some if they're going to go on the road and pull off the upset in Knoxville. This Oklahoma defense, can a guy like R. Mason Thomas on that D-line be a disruptor? And it's going to be important because if he and his fellow D linemen cannot put pressure on Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar, it is going to be a long night for the Sooners. I look at it like this. Tennessee is favored by 2.5 points. It's a night game in Knoxville, which means that Oklahoma is going to be fighting an uphill battle. I like the Vols to hold serve at home, 31-20. Now in the Big Ten, we've got 23rd ranked USC traveling to Lincoln to take on the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. And of course, the loser in this one basically is going to have zero chance of winning the Big Ten. Now for SC, they've had 2 weeks off to digest that road loss to Notre Dame and try to get back on track. I expect USC's offense to come out and be clicking with quarterback Jaden Mayava, as well as the running game with Wayman Jordan and King Miller in that backfield. Keep an eye out for wide receiver Mekhi Lemon in this one. And you can't say enough about safety Bishop Fitzgerald for the Trojans, as he should be in the run to be an all Big Ten selection this year. So we just saw Nebraska today give head coach Matt Rule that extension. And will his Cornhuskers be able to feed off of that? Dylan Raiola, the youngster at quarterback for Nebraska, when he's on, he's on. Okay, so it's going to be important for this USC defense to try to keep that timing off. Nebraska is so close, but they haven't been able to get over the hump. I think this could be somewhat of a signature win for USC, and I say that because going on the road to the Midwest and winning was not something that USC and Lincoln Riley were able to do last year. I think they get it done in this one. I like the Trojans 30-27. And finally, back in the Big 12, we've got 17th ranked Cincinnati traveling to Rice Eccles in Salt Lake City to take on 24th ranked Utah. Now, in spite of the fact that Cincinnati is ranked, and in spite of the fact that they are ranked higher than the Utes, they come into this game as a 10.5 point underdog. Cincinnati is just one of two teams that are still undefeated within the Big 12. The Bearcats' only loss on the season so far came at a neutral site game in Kansas City against Nebraska. Cincinnati, to me, I think they're a team that not a lot of people are talking about. They've got some talent on this offense, and it starts with quarterback Brendan Sorsby, as well as running back Evan Pryor and wide receiver Silas Allen. For the Utes, you know that they're going to be physical. You know that they're going to run the football a lot with quarterback Devin Dampier as well as running back Wayshawn Parker. And I keep saying the name John Henry Daly. Get used to him, folks, because he's going to be in the NFL making big bucks very soon. Kyle Whittingham is going to have his team ready to play. I know they're a big favorite in this one. I think it's going to be closer, but I still like the Utes 27-24. So, folks, those are my picks for this Saturday in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it is greatly appreciated. Also, definitely be sure to check out this channel all Saturday afternoon, as I'm going to have plenty to say and recap some of these key games that we should be seeing this Saturday. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it'll be my pleasure to do the same in return. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating groups going on social media. Cal, as always, appreciate the love and support, my man, and keep it coming, man. And until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.